Imagine a land rich with color and life, towering palace walls stretching high above the city, floors inlaid with precious stones, gold gleaming from pillars and ornaments, and busy marketplaces filled with voices from every corner of the empire. This was ancient Persia, a world of immense power, breathtaking beauty, and strict royal authority, where the king's word wasn't just a rule, it was the law of the land. Within this magnificent setting unfolds one of the most gripping and uplifting stories in all of Scripture, the story of Esther. It's a tale woven with suspense, courage, unexpected twists, and the remarkable truth that even those who seem quiet or unnoticed can be placed in exactly the right moment to make a world-changing difference. The mighty King Xerxes ruled over a vast empire stretching from India all the way to Ethiopia. He was known for his wealth, power, and extravagant lifestyle. To show off his riches, he threw a massive celebration, a party that lasted 6 months. After this marathon party, King Xerxes held one more feast that lasted 7 days. It was the kind of event where every cup was overflowing with wine, and every corner of the palace glowed with marble, silver, and gold. On the final day, when the king was feeling proud and more than a little drunk, he decided he wanted to show off one more treasure, his beautiful queen, Vashti. He ordered her to appear before all the guests wearing her royal crown. But Vashti refused. Her refusal shocked the entire palace. No one said no to the king. Ministers panicked. If the queen can disobey, they said, won't every woman in the empire think she can disobey her husband too? Fear and pride mixed together, and suddenly the king's advisors were insisting that Vashti be removed as queen. And so, with a heavy and angry heart, King Xerxes banished her. But soon after, when the celebrations were over, the king felt lonely. His anger faded, and with it came regret. He needed a new queen. Not too far from the palace lived a Jewish man named Mordecai. He had been taken from Jerusalem years earlier when the Babylonians invaded. Living with him was his younger cousin, Hadassah, whom we know as Esther. After Esther's parents died, Mordecai raised her like his own daughter. Esther was gentle, wise beyond her years, and remarkably beautiful. But beauty was only a fraction of who she truly was. When word spread that the king was searching for a new queen, many young women from across the empire were brought to the palace. Mordecai encouraged Esther to go, but he also gave her an important instruction. Do not tell anyone you are Jewish. Not because he was ashamed, but because he knew the world could be hostile, especially in the unpredictable environment of a royal court. Esther was taken into the harem, where she spent a whole year preparing for a single night with the king. The process was filled with spices, perfumes, oils, and teachings on royal etiquette. But what set Esther apart wasn't her beauty, it was her humility, kindness, and quiet strength. She won the admiration of everyone who met her, including Haggai, the eunuch in charge of the palace women. When her turn came to meet King Xerxes, she didn't request fancy jewelry or extravagant clothing. She simply followed Haggai's advice, and when King Xerxes saw her, he was captivated, not just by how she looked, but by her gentle grace. Esther was crowned queen, but even as she wore the royal crown, she remained humble, remembering Mordecai's words and keeping her identity a secret. One day, as Mordecai sat faithfully at his usual post by the palace gate, he happened to overhear a tense, hushed conversation between two of the king's guards. Their angry whispers revealed a shocking and dangerous secret. They were conspiring to assassinate King Xerxes. Understanding the gravity of what he had just discovered, Mordecai acted quickly. He sent an urgent message to Queen Esther, informing her of the treacherous plot. Queen Esther immediately relayed the information to the king, making sure to credit Mordecai as the source of the warning. A formal investigation was launched, and the details Mordecai had uncovered proved to be completely accurate. The conspirators were arrested, tried, and ultimately executed for their betrayal. The entire incident was carefully recorded in the king's official chronicles, preserved among the kingdom's most important documents. Yet, in the bustle of palace life, the record was soon forgotten. What no one realized at the time, however, was that this seemingly overlooked entry would one day play a crucial role in shaping the events that followed. At this point in the story, we are introduced to Haman, the primary antagonist whose actions set a dark chain of events into motion. Haman was not just any official. He occupied one of the highest positions in the Persian Empire, and he reveled in the authority and prestige that came with it. Recently elevated to an even more powerful rank, he enjoyed the king's special favor. To honor this promotion, King Xerxes commanded that everyone in the kingdom bow respectfully whenever Haman passed by, acknowledging his elevated status. The people complied eagerly, fearing the consequences of disobedience. Everyone bowed, everyone except Mordecai. Mordecai's refusal was not an act of rebellion for its own sake, nor an attempt to provoke Haman. Rather, it stemmed from his deep Jewish faith. As a devoted follower of God, Mordecai believed that he could not bow in reverence before any human being, no matter how powerful. When Haman eventually noticed this solitary figure who remained standing, refusing to bend the knee, he was consumed with fury. But his rage did not stop at the desire to punish Mordecai alone. In his twisted pride, destroying one man seemed far too insignificant. Instead, Haman devised a plan to eradicate the entire Jewish population scattered throughout the vast empire. So he approached King Xerxes with a cleverly crafted accusation, one intentionally vague but full of suspicion and manipulation. There is a certain group of people, he warned, living throughout the provinces of your kingdom, who cling to their own laws and customs. They refuse to obey the king's commands. It is not beneficial for you to let such people remain. The king, unaware that this group of people included his own Queen Esther, listened to Haman's proposal and agreed without hesitation. A royal decree was written and sealed, authorizing the annihilation of every Jewish man, woman, and child on a single predetermined day. When the devastating news reached Mordecai, he was overwhelmed with grief. He tore his clothes as a sign of mourning, dressed himself in sackcloth, and cried out loudly in the public streets. Throughout the empire, Jewish communities responded in the same way, fasting, weeping, lamenting, and pleading for mercy. Meanwhile, inside the palace, Queen Esther remained unaware of the tragedy unfolding outside her protected walls. When word reached her that Mordecai was in deep mourning, she sent him fresh garments, hoping to comfort him, but he refused the clothing. Instead, through a trusted messenger, Mordecai explained the entire situation to Queen Esther. He urged her with great urgency to go before the king and plead for her people's survival. Queen Esther hesitated, gripped by fear. Approaching the king was not a simple matter. There was a well-known law. Anyone who entered the king's presence without being summoned risked immediate execution, unless the king extended his golden scepter, granting pardon. Queen Esther had not been called to the king for 30 days. To approach him now meant placing her life on the line. Mordecai's response to her uncertainty became one of the most memorable and powerful statements in all of Scripture. He said, "Do not imagine that because you are in the palace, you alone will escape. If you remain silent at this time, deliverance for the Jews will come from somewhere else. But who knows whether you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" These words stirred something deep within Queen Esther, an awakening of courage, identity, and divine purpose. With newfound resolve, she sent her reply, "Go and gather all the Jews who are in Susa. Fast for me for 3 days. My attendants and I will do the same. Then I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." In that moment, Queen Esther embraced her destiny, stepping forward with bravery that would shape the future of her people. After 3 days of fasting, Queen Esther dressed in her royal robe and walked toward the throne room. Every step was a battle of fear and resolve. The massive doors opened. The king looked at Queen Esther. Time seemed to freeze. Then, slowly, King Xerxes extended his golden scepter. She lived. King Xerxes smiled warmly and asked, "What is your request, Queen Esther? Even up to half the kingdom it will be given to you." But Queen Esther didn't rush. Instead, she invited the king and Haman to a private banquet. There, the king asked again, "What is your request?" Queen Esther kept her composure and said, "Please come to another banquet tomorrow, then I will answer." Haman left the banquet feeling proud, nearly floating with self-importance. But as he walked through the palace gate, he saw Mordecai again, refusing to bow. All of Haman's joy vanished. He went home raging, and his family suggested a horrifying solution. Build a 75-foot gallows and ask the king for permission to hang Mordecai on it. Haman loved the idea. That night, the construction began. At this point, everything seems to be going in Haman's favor. But behind the scenes, something unexpected happens. The king couldn't sleep. Out of all the things he could have done, listened to music, called for entertainment, he asked for the royal chronicles to be read to him. As the servant read the official records, he came across the story of the assassination plot Mordecai had exposed. King Xerxes sat up. "Wait, did we ever reward Mordecai for this?" "No, my king. Nothing has been done." The king immediately decided to honor Mordecai, and at that very moment Haman entered the court, ready to ask permission to hang Mordecai. Before Haman could speak, the king asked him, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Haman's pride kicked in instantly. He thought the king was talking about him, so he suggested an extravagant parade, dressing the man in the king's robe, placing him on the king's horse, and having a noble official lead him through the city shouting, "This is what is done for the one the king delights to honor." The king nodded. "Excellent. Do everything you have said, for Mordecai the Jew." Haman's stomach dropped. He had to lead the parade himself. Imagine Haman walking through the city, shouting praise for the man he hated most. It was humiliation on an epic scale. Afterward, Haman rushed home, devastated. His wife and advisors sensed something ominous. "If Mordecai is of Jewish origin," they said, "you cannot stand against him. You will fall." But before Haman could process their words, royal servants arrived to escort him to Queen Esther's second banquet. At the second banquet, the king asked once more, "Queen Esther, what is your request?" This time, Queen Esther spoke with boldness. "Your Majesty, please spare my life and the lives of my people, for we have been sold for destruction." The king was stunned. Who would dare do such a thing? Queen Esther turned to Haman. "The enemy is Haman." The room exploded with tension. King Xerxes stormed out in fury, overwhelmed by betrayal. Haman, now terrified, fell on Queen Esther's couch, begging for mercy. At that moment, the king re-entered and saw Haman in a compromising position, falling on the queen. It only inflamed his anger. One of the eunuchs mentioned the massive gallows Haman had built for Mordecai. The king ordered, "Hang him on it." And so the very structure Haman built for Mordecai became his own end. Although Haman was gone, the decree allowing the destruction of the Jews was still in force. According to Persian law, a royal decree could not be undone. Queen Esther bravely approached the king again, falling at his feet, pleading for her people. Moved by her courage, King Xerxes allowed her and Mordecai, whom he had now promoted, to write a new decree. This new law allowed the Jews to defend themselves on the appointed day. When the day came, the Jews stood strong and prevailed against their enemies. Across the empire, people saw that the Jews were protected, and many even supported them. Mordecai rose to a powerful position, second only to the king, and Queen Esther continued to be honored throughout the land. Their bravery and wisdom brought peace to the Jewish community. To celebrate their deliverance, the Jewish people established an annual festival called Purim, named after the Pur, or Lot's Haman caste, to decide the day of their destruction. The festival is still celebrated today as a reminder of how God used an unlikely queen and her courageous cousin to save an entire nation. The story of Esther is more than an ancient tale. It's a timeless reminder of courage, purpose, and the quiet impact of ordinary people placed in extraordinary circumstances. Queen Esther risked her life for her people. Mordecai stood firm in his convictions. And even when events looked hopeless, heavenly forces were working behind the scenes. The message of Esther's life can be summed up in one powerful idea. You may not choose your circumstances, but you can choose what you do with them. And sometimes you are placed where you are for a reason far bigger than yourself.